Hi, I'm Kim from Korean Recapped. Today, I'm going to recap a 2021 action thriller movie called Last Man Down. After a plague wipes out human civilization, an army rises to govern the survivors. While fleeing from them, a lovely woman comes upon a mystery warrior who has the key that could save what remains of humanity. When a virus wipes out nearly all humanity in Europe, the survivors move north to live in seclusion. However, the struggle for power follows them there. One evening, a soldier called John and his wife, Amelia, are taken captive. The man was entrusted with eliminating the residents of a town who had been infected with the fatal illness. However, Commander Stone discovered that approximately 500 of the people were missing. Given that those 500 people could still spread the disease, Stone demands to know where they went. John refuses to speak, so Stone points his rifle at the woman. The soldier begs the man to let her go, claiming that the missing townspeople had already fled by the time his unit arrived. When this fails to persuade the commander, John begs him to murder him instead. The man simply grins at this before squeezing the gun on Amelia's head. John can only cry in anguish, helpless to save his wife. 3 years later, John lives alone in a lakeside cabin, profoundly haunted by his wife's death. Despite being away from the army and other people, he continues to develop his body and battle for survival. As he reads a book that evening, he recalls seeing Stone and his soldiers execute the escaping townspeople. John tried to stop them, but the commander simply called him a traitor and knocked him out. Not long after, John was taken by plane. During the voyage, Stone claimed that Amelia was infected and would die anyway. The bereaved husband refused to believe this, noting that his wife had been tested not long before Stone murdered her. The commander argued that it was best to be on the safe side, but John believed he was killing innocent people. Stone laughed and then moved the subject to what they planned to do with the soldier. Because John was immune to the virus, he was not executed for his crimes. Instead, he was transferred to a Navy ship, where they planned to discover the cause of his immunity. However, when his blood was about to be drawn, John killed the doctor and fled, only to discover that Stone was waiting for him nearby. As the prisoner fled, the commander radioed his soldiers to locate him and secure the ship. Despite this, John fought his way free. As John sits by his campfire, a wounded woman approaches from the woods. She begs him to hide her before passing out. Maria awakens in John's bed, handcuffed. Seeing her fear, the stranger assures her that he would not harm her. The man insists on removing the bullet to prevent infection, citing the fact that her wound is the result of a shooting. As he prepares, the woman becomes terrified, wondering if he is even a doctor. John merely answers no before extracting the bullet. John discovers that the bullet she was shot with contained a tracker, so he destroys it and interrogates the woman about who is after her. However, Maria passes out due to the pain, leaving him with only a barcode on her wrist as a clue. When she wakes up later, her savior tells her to leave once she has recovered since he does not want her worries to reach him. Despite this, Maria stays and even tries to help when she is strong enough. John refuses and tells her to rest so she may recuperate and depart sooner. With no alternative, the woman returns to the cabin. When he's alone, 3 soldiers come across John while searching for Maria, claiming she's contaminated. The man does not react, so the troops go inside his cabin to look for the woman. Seeing this, John attacks, killing 2 of them. However, one man manages to get into his cabin. John then hears a gunshot, but to his astonishment, it was Maria who pulled the trigger after discovering one of his weapons and shooting the soldier. After disposing of the bodies, John goes to his shed, where Maria discovers him storing the soldiers' rifles. She notices the weapons he has accumulated, which makes her wonder who he truly is. John just explains that he prefers to be prepared. Maria insists on being allowed to stay and help out after demonstrating her ability to protect herself. With this in mind, John hands her a mop to clean up the mess she caused in his cabin. As she does so, she accidentally wounds herself on a splinter, prompting her to search the cabin for a first aid bag, where she discovers a few hidden vials. Meanwhile, Granite wonders why the men she sent to find Maria have not returned. Her companion, Dr. Feldspat, assumes the soldiers are dead and advises sending another squad to investigate what happened. With that in mind, Granite approaches its trainees to see if they are prepared. She instructs them to attack her, but none of them land a blow. Instead, she dispatches them with ease. Their trainer reminds out that they are not supposed to kill the trainees, but Granite accuses him of failing to adequately prepare them. At the cabin, John's recent fight has brought up terrible memories, so he demands to know who Maria is. She simply recalls how she escaped the institution and walked through the woods to his cabin. She knows the military would come hunting for her again, so she begs John whether she should leave. To her delight, the man declines. He points out that the men said she was infected, yet she had no symptoms. He also realizes that the persons after her are the same ones who murdered his wife. He sees this as an opportunity for retaliation and ensures Maria's safety. As the woman leans on him in appreciation, John recalls his time with Amelia. Maria awakens to discover John creating a sandbag wall in preparation for a fight. This makes her understand how severe the situation is. Throughout the day, John continues to defend his home and gather supplies. Maria finally gives him the entire tale that evening, demonstrating her trust and thanks for his efforts. Commander Stone has discovered a cure, and considering how severely the world requires it, he intends to exploit it to conquer the planet. They obtained the vaccination from her blood because she is immune, so she fled, refusing to furnish their troops with the cure. Instead, she wants it to be widely available to everyone. When John realizes the gravity of the issue, he decides not to help any further, refusing to get involved with Stone's schemes again. Maria pleads him, even mentioning that his wife would have wanted him to help her, but he walks away. Still attempting to persuade him, Maria offers to help him clean his weapons the next day. John is intrigued by Maria's ability to handle a gun, so she tells him about her life before the virus. She became a delinquent and lived off minor crime. This evolved into her utilizing weapons, which landed her in prison. When the infection spread, Maria was the only penitentiary survivor, so she was sent to a lab for testing. This is how they discovered her immunity. Empathizing with her, John begins teaching Maria to improve her shooting skills in the hopes that she would be able to protect herself. Unbeknownst to them, another squad searches the woods for the woman. Later on, while they prepare spears, John notices something in the woods. He then excuses himself to go to the restroom, but proceeds to his shed instead. The fresh squad notices him and surrounds the shed, only to see the man waiting for them with a rifle in hand. He effortlessly dispatches 2 of them, but the final one manages to capture Maria. Instead of exiting the shed, John shoots an arrow through the holes in the wooden wall, striking the opponent in the leg. This allows Maria to flee, while John kills her kidnapper. Knowing that the remainder of the army will arrive if the second squad fails to return, John advises Maria to be prepared. Granite rallies their troops, just as he expected. Meanwhile, John and Maria prepare the weapons he has collected over the years. Following that, the man heads to his campsite in the woods to shower. Maria cleans herself up immediately after him, and seeing the woman's physique tempts John, but he resists his desires. Maria is captured late that afternoon while fetching water by the lake. The barcode on her wrist confirms her identity, so Feldspat radios Stone and informs him that they have located the target. Just then, John arrives and murders the men. When the 2 return to their cabin, they discover that troops have also arrived. They quickly take them out, unknowing that Feldspat survives and calls for help. With that, additional soldiers arrive for John and Maria to defeat. When Stone discovers that his men are being defeated, he wonders who is assisting Maria, and Granite guesses he is someone who used to be in special forces. Using various techniques, the duo eliminates scores of guys Stone sends their way. Maria even uses gasoline to burn down a couple soldiers. After fighting innumerable warriors, John and Maria finally meet. The man instructs his companion to begin cleaning up the bodies, but the fatigued woman wonders why they should bother. John informs her that it is preferable for their adversaries to go missing than to be discovered dead by their allies. Following that, the 2 work on disposing of the dead. Granite, on the other hand, sends in more men for reconnaissance, and her squad discovers a concealed passage beneath the cabin. They report it to Granite, but before they can investigate, Maria emerges and kills them. Seeing that their adversaries are still looking for them, John pursues the troops through the woods. Unbeknownst to him, Granite discovers that the tunnel is an ancient mining shaft. This prompts her to develop a means to sneak up on their adversaries. John continues to search for soldiers through the woods, but is attacked by Feldspat. Finally seeing him up close, the man recognizes him as the soldier who fled 3 years ago. With Maria as their target, the soldier strikes their erstwhile ally. Feldspat manages to unbalance John and hits him, knocking him back against a tree. He then tosses a knife at John, but he dodges and grabs the weapon. He swings the blade at his opponent, but Feldspat deflects his blows and knocks him down. Meanwhile, Maria sets traps when she is imprisoned at gunpoint. As they approach, she reveals hidden knives and kills her captives. Elsewhere, John confronts and pummels his opponent. Feldspat turns the tables and eventually knocks him out with the end of a rifle. Just then, another soldier radios Feldspat to report that he has found Maria by the lake. As the man tries to apprehend her, he accidentally pulls the trigger before she can shoot back. Feldspat discovers the woman down and wounded, so he prepares a syringe to capture her. By the time John regains awareness, Feldspat has an unconscious Maria draped over his shoulders. He transports her down the tunnels to deliver her to Stone while attempting to radio Stone to inform him that John is alive. However, the signal is too faint for him to send the message, so he continues down the tunnel. In the woods, John comes upon a soldier's radio and overhears that the surviving men are being summoned back, as Feldspat already has Maria. With that, he dashes back to the cabin. Eventually, Feldspat becomes lost in the tunnels. When John emerges from the darkness, the army doctor quickly pummels him. However, the man pushes back and delivers many hits. When Feldspat fails to arrive on time, Stone sends the rest of his soldiers to storm the tunnels in search of Maria. Maria awakens just in time for John to kill her captor as they are fighting. With this, they leave. Granite and her men eventually catch up with them, so the two lead them into a room and start a shootout. They kill their attackers as they come and manage to take a shield from one of them. Maria takes the shield on her companion's orders, while John deploys a smoke bomb to hide their tracks as they go. However, Granite notices them and shoots John. Regardless, the two flee. After traveling far enough, John opens a service hatch and hides inside. This permits them to let the soldiers pass unnoticed. Despite his injuries, John encourages Maria to remain hidden while he deals with their enemies. She rejects, saying she does not want to live without him. Before she leaves, the man encourages her to do so. Maria can't help but cry since she believes her final ally is dying. John continues the fight through the tunnels, dodging gunshots and luring Maria's pursuers away. He eventually emerges from the tunnels, only to find himself in the center of Stone's base. He stands stunned before his opponent, who is relieved to see him still alive. He orders his guys to stand down because John is an old buddy. However, the warrior corrects him, stating that they are family. This shows that Stone and John are brothers, with the former changing his name to advance through the ranks. This was partly despite their father, who had favored John throughout their infancy. The commander then demands Maria, but John states he has already killed her. However, his brother understands that he cannot kill an innocent woman. To persuade him to talk, Stone has his men beat Maria's location out of him. Dozens of troops surround John and take turns hitting him as his brother continues to insult him. Still, John is obstinate, insisting that Maria has died. Stone, enraged, kicks his brother down. He then admits that he will never speak and orders his minions to kill John. Hearing this, the man accuses him of being a coward, alleging that he is terrified of confronting his half-dead sibling. He challenges Stone to a one-on-one fight, which the commander accepts with a grin. Stone delivers the opening strikes, and the exhausted John can hardly throw fists. Stone, feeling sorry for his brother, says that he will send him to hell with his wife before launching another attack. This time, an enraged John musters enough power to knock the man down. Stone, defeated, asks that Granite give him a gun. However, the woman only smiles, evidently amused to see him down. Stone then snatches a rifle from another soldier and points it at his brother's head. Unafraid, John approaches his armed brother, recalling how he killed Amelia years before. He then snatches the revolver from him and pulls the trigger, effectively ending Commander Stone's rule. The man's soldiers encircle him, and Granite has enjoying the show. She explains that she had planned to kill Stone as well, and she thanks John for doing so for her. However, she refuses to compete, forcing John to perish as well. Just then, Maria appears, clutching 2 grenades. She threatens to commit suicide if they do not let John survive. The new commander immediately accepts her offer, and her soldiers whisk Maria away, leaving John behind. The wounded man can barely stand as he promises to find and save Maria. The woman is forced inside an airplane, where she meets Granite's boss and sovereign commander, Zahara. With a cure in her hands, the woman intends to recreate human civilization in her image. Maria took her blood days earlier and left vials in John's cabin without their knowledge. This would allow him to take them to another scientist who could provide a treatment for the people without relying on the tyrannic army, and the movie ends. Please do hit that like button if you enjoyed the recap. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell for more exclusive movie recaps. Click on the next video appearing on the screen for more amazing content. Stay tuned for our next cinematic adventure, and until then, happy watching.